Okay, the gasifier is outside cooling down here. I just wanted to show you what I'm up to for the next stage of the process, I guess. I got this Genset from Crappy Tire. Total piece of crap. Never did like this Genset. But for $50 brand new, I couldn't complain. It was in the bargain bin. It does work. It just never started good, and you can't really do much with it. It says 1300 watt peak. It's a workout for it to even run something simple. Like, I don't even know if it'd run a grinder. It might, but I thought it'd be a good project to blow up if my gas is no good. Really, this thing only has about 10 hours of runtime on it. I've had it for about 3 or 4 years, so you might as well say it's new. Just not a big loss to me if something did happen to it. And the other thing, the reason why I wanted to use this, other than it's kind of sacrificial, it does have a voltmeter on it. My other old one doesn't, and the other old one has some sentimental value to it, so I don't want to burn it down. So I can adjust. The other thing too is this has a governor on it, and that's exactly why I've decided to leave the carburetor on it, is so that the governor is still hooked up and it will adjust the engine as needed, so we don't start blowing up whatever's plugged into it or burning it out from lack of power. So I would assume that with a different fuel that this governor may not be set properly, so I may have to tweak it a little bit. But what I've decided to do is leave everything hooked up, and I just took the air box off of here, just a cheap ass air box. And that's what I hated about this thing, is you always had to take the air box off and manually plug that with your thumb to get her to go, and it always had water. It always had condensation in the float, so you always had to drain that. It was just never one of them one pull wonders. It never was. Once it's been running, it's usually good. But anyway, you can see why this would be the perfect candidate for a gasifier job. It's basically just been sitting in the shed for a number of years now. So here's what I came up with. Take the air box off, and I wanted to use a 3/4 inch nipple to tie into here, so I didn't have any air restriction, trying to keep it the same size as the choke mechanism here. However, when you look inside there, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it, it actually throats down to about 10 millimeters. So what I've done is I've taken a bushing, threaded my nipple into it, my 1/2 inch nipple into a 3/4 by 1/2 bushing, and I've put it in the bandsaw and I've cut it off. Then I've taken a big 1/2 inch washer and I've drilled it out to, I don't know, that's bigger than 5/8. I'm not even sure what size the hole is, doesn't matter. And I've notched it so that it slides on here and butts up against the throat of the carburetor. Now there is a gasket on there, an existing gasket, and I'll just use that. If I do get an air leak or whatever, I could put a dab of silicone on there, I guess. Or I have some gasket paper. I could cut a gasket for it. However, you can see I don't have a lot of thread sticking out of there, so I wouldn't be able to put a very thick gasket in there. So that's where I'm at now here. I'm just going to get this carburetor assembled here. I just wanted to show you that before I bolted this on, so you could kind of see how I did it without slaughtering the engine. I've just adapted the engine to a point where you could back up and put it back together if you needed to. Alright. Another thing to keep in mind is on a lot of models, these bolts that hold the air cleaner on also hold the carburetor on. So you don't want to just start taping or whatever. You'll get an air leak where the carburetor meets the engine head. So just food for thought is these nuts have to be reinstalled regardless of how you do it. Just so you don't get a vacuum leak up there. So there. I'll get back at you later here.